Hi, and welcome back to our second project tutorial for Ourtown Country Market. And in the last video we went ahead and set up the basic HTML structure that we were going to need to create to lay out this page. And in this video we're going to go ahead and add the content to our HTML structure. Remember, we're going through three phases in our site development. The first phase being setting up the HTML structure, the second phase adding the content, and the third phase actually laying out, setting up the CSS that's going to give us our formatting, our presentation of our site. So again, the second phase is going to be adding the content to our structure, which actually brings us back to something we had discussed in an earlier video. Before you begin the process of doing anything at all inside of Dreamweaver, you do need to have sketched out or planned out what your website is going to look like. And in order to do that, you would have needed to have gathered all of the images, text, content, all that good stuff before you actually start working in Dreamweaver. So now we're going to go ahead and add that content to our site. And again, if you have the images from the framework, you can go ahead and use those images. If not, I'm going to tell you what size the images are, so you'll be able to go into a graphics program such as Fireworks or Photoshop and create your own graphics. So coming here and looking at our finished mock-up, first we have this top div here, which is just a gray bar, so that doesn't contain any content at all. So we're going to go ahead and leave that empty, and we'll be formatting that with the CSS. The second div here, we have our banner, and I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and scroll down here, and there is the banner div, and we need to go ahead and add the image that we're going to use in that area. So I'm going to go ahead and open up an image tag here, and I'm going to select the source attribute. Dreamweaver's IntelliSense comes up giving me the option here for browsing, and I'm going to go ahead and select that and go into my images folder, and the image that you're looking for is called banner.jpg. Now again, if you don't have this image, you just need to go ahead and make one that's 850 pixels wide by 140 pixels tall. So it's 850 by 140. And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK right there, and it places the path to that image in my code. And then I'm going to go ahead and close my image tag with the closing slash and bracket. And I always go back into design view just to make sure that that showed up. And sure enough, there we can see our banner div. Now coming in here to our sub banner just has this collage that's right here. So in the sub banner area, I'm going to go ahead and again open up an image tag and use the source attribute. I'll select browse when Dreamweaver brings that up, and the item that you're looking for is Farmers Market Collage.jpg. And again, if you're creating this image, it's going to be 850 pixels wide by 169 pixels tall. And actually you can make the height of these anything you want, but it is important for our overall structure that they be 850. If you decide to change it to another number, whenever I reference 850, you're going to need to go ahead and change that to whatever you've selected. So let's say your banner is 900 pixels wide, you would need to substitute that number in, and later you're going to do a little bit of math. So I'm going to select Farmers Market Collage right here and click OK. And again, I'll do a space, a slash, and a closing bracket just to close off that image tag. And there is my sub banner. Now the next item that we have in our design is this top navigation bar here. And you'll remember from the introduction series that we always put any kind of navigation element inside of an unordered list, inside of a UL, where each individual list item or each individual navigation link is its own list item within that list. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. So I'm going to come into Code View and click in my top nav section right here. And I'm going to go ahead and do UL. And I always hit enter and close my tag immediately after that, just so I never forget. And then we're going to go ahead and do a list item. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just close that right now, highlight that and copy it because it's going to be a little bit easier later on. I have home, about, recipes, and gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and type in home here, click at the end, paste that in, and then type about, click at the end and hit enter. And I'm just going to continue to do this. Whoops, didn't quite click in the right place here. And then I had gallery. And then after that we had events, just a generic link, and contact. Events, link, and then finally contact. And again, you could create, I just have generic link right here, but you could go ahead and add additional links as your site needs, as long as there's enough space in this top navigation bar here. And you can see I have room for 3, maybe even 4 more links over in this area over here. Actually not 4, probably just 3 links over in this area. And that's the one limitation of having top navigation as opposed to having a left-hand navigation bar, is that you are much more limited as to the number of links that you can create. Now you can overcome that by creating drop downs on these links, and that may work for you. And in another video we'll talk about how to add drop down menus to a design. And there are various ways to do that. Most people use what's called a jQuery plugin to create drop-down menus, but Dreamweaver actually has its built-in Spry JavaScript framework that will create drop-down menus for you. A lot of people don't like using Dreamweaver's built-in function, because then that really ties you into needing to have Dreamweaver to modify your site. Whereas a jQuery plugin, it can be modified by anybody using any coding tool. But we've set up our top navigation here inside of an unordered UL list. And when we click on design, this is what you should see here. And again, don't worry about the way this looks. Right now we're following this 3-phase model. First setting up the structure, then adding the content, and then phase 3 is where we're going to create the CSS that will position all of our elements and format everything so that it looks exactly the way we want it to look. So now after my unordered list, or after my top navigation section, we have our content area here, which has some headings in here, some paragraphs of text, an image, a subhead, another subheading here, and finally our social media icons, which again, you probably could have predicted this. This is going to be in an unordered list. And just to make things a little bit quicker, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this paragraph of text and copy it. And you can go ahead and just type in a paragraph, or just go copy a block of text and use that in this position. So I have in my content area, I have a heading, a paragraph, a subheading, another paragraph. So let's go ahead and set that up here. Inside of my content area, I'm going to do an H1 and type welcome to Ourtown Country Market. And then I'm going to close my H tag. And then I had a paragraph of text. I'm just going to go ahead and paste that text in there and then close my P tag. Then we had an H2 tag that had a subheading on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and do that there. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that paragraph there and paste it right in there so that we've got that paragraph of text. So now I've got those two items there. And again, obviously, if you were doing this for a site that you were really going to use, you'd be substituting your own information for what we're typing in here. Come back in here to Code View, and let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. We have an image followed by a paragraph and then another subheading and another paragraph. And actually this says fresh quality products, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in there. Fresh quality products. So now let's go ahead and grab that image. So I'm going to do an image tag followed by the source attribute. I'm going to go ahead and use Dreamweaver's browse option here. And the image that I'm looking for, you can't really see very well the size of a lot of these images that are in here right now. But you can always, if you're in Windows, you can click this drop down here and select extra large icons, and that will give you a little larger view of these items in here. And I can even make this window larger. And you can see there is the image that I'm looking to place in this area. And the dimensions of this are 519 by 121. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK there. And then I'm going to type a closing slash and a closing bracket to close my image tag off. One thing that Dreamweaver helps you out on is it makes sure that you get the closing quotation mark in there. But if your images aren't showing up, or if for any reason your layout looks odd, things aren't showing up in the right place or aren't showing up at all, one of the first things I tell people to check is make sure that all of your quotation marks have closing quotation marks. Make sure that you did both an opening and a closing, whether it's a self-closing tag like the image tag here, or if it's like the H1 where you've got to do an opening tag and a closing tag. Make sure that all of your punctuation, your quotation marks, your slashes, your brackets, make sure all of those are correct. And chances are, if something's not appearing right, most of the time it's a punctuation error. So we have our image right there. I'm going to go ahead and go into Design View, and you can see that right there. Back into Code View. And then we've got a paragraph of text followed by a subheading and another paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead here and just copy this paragraph of text in again. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and copy this paragraph, the heading, and that paragraph, and then just paste those in there. And then my second heading here was Our Country Fresh Farms. So I'm going to go Our Country Fresh Farms. And again, I check to make sure I've got closing tags exactly where I need them, including on these paragraphs over here. Another thing you're going to notice, and again, this may be familiar to you from earlier videos, each line of my code continues to go over all the way until that line ends. And that's actually a preference inside of Dreamweaver. If you come over here to your toolbox, right over here, you're going to see this option right here, Word Wrap. And if I click that, you'll see that the lines now wrap coming down. And I don't particularly like that. Even though I can see all the text, it does kind of make for a messier layout. So I usually turn my word wrap off. So again, coming back in here to our design, after our final paragraph, we've got these items right here. Connect with us, and then these social media icons that are right here. And again, this Connect with Us is a graphic as well as these individual little buttons here. And these are going to be in an unordered list, each one of these items. So I'm going to go ahead and inside of my social media div, I'm going to go ahead and do an opening UL. And just like before, I'm going to close it so I don't forget to do it. And then I'm going to go ahead and do list item here. And then close my list item. And then just copy that so it's easy to paste in. And now, before when we did our menu items, I just typed some text in between my list items. But here we need an image. And the first image that we're going to need is that Connect with Us graphic. So I'm going to go ahead and do IMG space, and I'm going to use the source attribute here. I'm going to use Dreamweaver's browse option, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the icons folder. Again, I was in my images folder. I need to go into my icons folder, and there's Connect with Us. I'll click OK there, and then do a closing slash and bracket. Save that, and let's make sure that's appearing. Sure enough, it is. And then I'm going to do a list item for each individual icon. Go ahead and do IMG SRC, and I'll do Facebook there, slash bracket. Click at the end, paste that in there. I'm going to do the exact same thing here. And then do the browse option and do Flickr. And close that off. Another thing you could do, I've just been copying and pasting in that list item there. But instead of doing that, what you could do is you could copy this entire line here and then just paste that in. And then highlight this area right here, type a quote, and then use the browse option right there to go ahead and select your next item. And make sure you get that closing quotation mark in there. So you're going to find that copy and paste is going to be your best friend as a web designer, because there's a lot of just typing and retyping code. We'll do after Twitter, we've got one more, and that's Yelp. We'll save that. And again, look in design view and you can see I've got each one of my icons showing up there. The last thing in our design is this content, or the content for the footer area here. Just a simple copyright statement, Ourtown Country Market. And again, you could include any text you want in that area. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. Whoops, you know what I forgot? I forgot our right side completely and totally, didn't I? So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Coming over here to our right side, we've got a couple of subheadings with some paragraphs of text, and then we've got a calendar icon here. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this block of text here and copy it just to speed things up so you don't have to see me typing things. And I'm going to do an H2 sidebar heading, close that, and then I'm going to do a paragraph of text. Make sure I close my paragraph, and then again, just to make things quick, I'm going to copy and paste that in there. And then I have this calendar icon right here, or this calendar image. So I'm going to go ahead and do IMG SRC, use the browse option. I'm in my icons folder, so I need to go back up. And I can do that by clicking the up one level button right here. And now when I go ahead and there's my calendar right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and close off that tag. You can see right off the back in getting setting up this content and our structure, the HTML, the amount of HTML that you need to know in order to actually successfully set all this up is not great. We need to know about the div tag, we need to know our heading tags, our paragraph tags, and our image tags. But beyond that, and a few items here for unordered lists, we haven't used a lot of HTML. So don't let HTML intimidate you at all. It really is something that has a limited vocabulary and therefore is fairly easy to learn. And again, the grammar for HTML is fairly straightforward as well. There's just a few idiosyncrasies in HTML, mainly having to do with, or at the beginning levels, mainly having to do with how you close tags, whether a tag is self-closing or whether you actually need to repeat that tag to close it. So I'm going to come in here and take a look at this in design view, and there's my calendar. And now I need another sidebar heading and a paragraph of text. So I'm going to again highlight that H2 in the paragraph below it and then just paste that right in there. So now I've got that item right there. And now finally we're ready to get to our footer. And again, we just had that simple copyright statement there that's going to be in a paragraph tag. Now, the copyright symbol, the actual symbol itself that I have right here, there isn't a keystroke for that on your keyboard. So you need to include an HTML code that tells the browser to display that symbol. Now, there are lots of these codes that are out there. And with my framework, I actually have a handout of HTML special character codes. But the one for copyright is going to be the and symbol, the ampersand symbol I should say, followed by the word copy, and then a semicolon. And that's going to display the copyright symbol. And sure enough, you can see there it is right there. So then I'll go ahead and do copyright 2011 Ourtown Country Market. We'll save that. And that's the last of phase 2. We've gone ahead and we've added all of our content to our page. We haven't done any formatting at all up to this point. We've just been going ahead and setting up the structure and setting up and adding the content to our structure. And again, that's the way you should always go about laying out an HTML page. The real work comes really in the planning stages, when you're actually sketching out or mocking up your design, actually creating the plan for your website, and then gathering all the text, images, all the content for your page. Once you have that done, the process of setting up a web page is fairly straightforward, or a basic web page is fairly straightforward. In the next video, we're going to begin phase 3 of our project, and that's going to be the largest phase, as you can probably imagine, in setting up this site. And that's going to be to create the CSS that's going to lay all this out and get everything positioned the way we want it to be positioned, as well as formatting it so that things appear the way we want them to appear, setting up our fonts and our colors and all the rest of that good stuff. So our next video, we start phase 3, creating the CSS for our project website. I'll see you in the next video.